Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. This looks close to a bingo, but I haven't seen one. So I need to play off the N. And I think the choice is between playing pen and just N. But I think it's better to play off the P for the score. I'm just pausing in case there's a 7 that I've overlooked. But I can't see it. Not good, picking up 3 vowels. And maybe if I had kept the P, I may have had something. Anyway, I didn't. This is what I've got to deal with. I've picked up AEU. I could play AEU with AUE or EAU, although it's unlikely to score very much. However, at the moment it plays immediately underneath pen. Okay, Viney takes an L after it. I can still play EAU above pen. EAU takes an S and an X after it, unlike je. And that's 14 points. Yeah, I think that's the best I can do. That looks a little better. A better vowel consonant balance. Although I do have duplicates. And I'm not seeing a 7. If there is a 7, it will play in column 11. Now, what about anlasses? Is that good? Anlasses. I think I will try it. It may come off. And that will also play in row F because scene is good. Anlasses. Gosh, I wonder what I'm confusing it with if it isn't good. Anyway, should it come off, I do have an L for going after Viney. No floaters to play through at the moment, apart from the U, which isn't very likely to provide a bingo. Just wondering if there's anywhere else for anlasses. Well, I guess there is, because I've got 2 spots I can play it in column 11. If I play it in the higher spot, I'm opening up row A with a vowel next to a double letter square. But if I play it lower down, I'm providing a vowel next to this double letter square. Now, one of my anlasses spots has been taken, but oh wow, a new one has been provided. I think Roven is good, in which case this will be a double-double. But if this comes off, I won't know which is the phony. Quite an interesting rack. I have Boisy and Whiz. Just waiting to see if this gets challenged. Nothing so far. Roven takes a P in front. And I don't think anything else. So difficult to look around with your current rack when you're expecting a move to be challenged. Now, I note that Boisy can play in row L. And the B covering the double letter square isn't particularly dangerous. None of my premium tiles goes above the U. I have Biz going above anlasses. And also Waz in that spot, which is better. But I've got 5 high-scoring tiles, and Boisy plays off 3 of them, whereas Waz only plays off 2. So my preference would certainly be to play off 3 of the premium tiles, especially if it means getting rid of the W, which is the least nicest to have. I'm just wondering if I have anything in column 8 down from the A. Can't see anything. Great, not challenged. We'll find out later if it's good. Has my opponent provided anything new? Coot doesn't take anything after it that I've got. My Z can go in front of the O, as can some of my other tiles. So I could play Hawk, keeping Biz. Let me see what that scores. So Hawk for 40, keeping Biz, or Boazi for 46, keeping KH. I think I would rather keep the KH because they can go above the O of Coot, and my opponent may be distracted by the B of Boazi. Not good. However, I have 1 vowel to play with. And I have a P for going in front of proven. So I could play Gimp, keeping HKR. I don't think Crimp with a K is good. These high-scoring consonants don't go particularly well together. Can't see anything down from this A, or coming down through the W. $32 for Gimp and proven. HKR not a good rack leave. Now what can I play over the top of Coot? My M can go in front of OU, but then I can't place a high scoring tile over the O. So I think the best I can do is probably Mirk, M-I-R-K, keeping PGH. $26 for my opponent. Now my H and K can go in front of Aura, but I can't see a play down there. Can't see anything in column 2 through WO. So Gimp 32. I think I will do that because I'm keeping no vowels, so it's quite nice to keep this scoring spot in row E available, for which I only need to draw 1 vowel. And indeed, if I have 1 vowel, I've probably got to play with the H over the top of Anlas's, and I'm providing a floating vowel in the I in case I draw only consonants, so Gimp has merit. Well, I do draw just the 1 vowel, but what I've now got is Hatch on my rack, which plays in 2 spots. It plays above Coot, and it also plays above Anlas's. Indeed, it plays below Anlas's as well, and may score more below, starting underneath this S. Hatch would leave KR, which is fine as a rack leave. 2 consonants, no vowels is good. Generally, you're looking for a rack leave which has an excess of consonants over vowels of 1 or 2. So 2-0 works. Okay. Phylation. I'm not sure of that. Great, it comes off. Fantastic. Now, let me see what Hatch scores in the various spots. So, this is 35, and it's quite nice. It doesn't open up any triple word squares. So 35 there. 44, well, that's definitely better, and that's going to score more than above Coot, which is about 38. So this is the highest scoring spot. My opponent played Phylation, so he's got Phylaton on his rack. I don't think he's got anything through C or H. Not a good pickup at all with the Q. No U, no I to go with it. I do have Chi above Gimp for 11 points, but that's not very good. It doesn't score very much. The rack leaves awful, and there are a ton of I's out there, which my opponent could score heavily off in column 5. So I'm much better off trying to sort the rack out. And my opponent's gone where I was thinking of going. I can play Keybob down here. Let me see what this scores. That's 39. I don't like keeping the G and the Q, but if I'm getting rid of the K and the B, it's difficult to get rid of the G with it. On my rack, I've got Curb and Burko, and I'm just wondering if either of those plays underneath Boise and Aura, but they don't. In fact, just my G goes after ZA. So I could play Keg, keeping BORQ. $52 points. That's 13 more points. I think that's worth doing. That is a big score. I am opening up row O, but I don't know if my opponent has an S. I saw his rack before when he played Phylation. He didn't have an S then. He's only turned over 4 tiles since. Not a great keep. However, with a U and an A, I would have Burka. Now, is there anything I'm missing? 13 minutes on my clock, 41 tiles left, and I've got a lead of over 100 points, so I quite like the idea of piling on the points. Okay, well, still nothing to go with the Q, but the remaining high-scoring tiles are actually quite good. I've got Forb and Forby on my rack. Not sure if there's anywhere for them. And I've got an S for going after Zag, but I'm not sure I've got a 5-letter play. And I don't have a 4-letter play either, which ends in S. My O can't go in front of L, which stops me playing across row D. And only my S goes after AS, so I'm quite limited. I don't know if Hatch takes a Y. I've got a feeling I may have tried it before and it's come off. So I'm not going to try that. I no longer have a play ending in B in column 1. Keybob would have been quite a killing play in that it would have provided nothing for my opponent. Now, what's the best I can do across here? Well, I've got Cybo, which is a 4-letter play. Only 25 points. Well, that's pretty rubbish. I have Corby, 24. Quite good. Just wondering if I have anything through this eye. Now, what about Gimpy? I think Gimpy's good, so I would have Forby down here, but for quite a low score. However, I quite like the idea of turning over a lot of tiles to increase my chances of drawing a U or an I or a blank. Can't see anything through the G. Okay, so 15 for my opponent. That's good. It's not very much. He's provided nothing for me. And I also like turning over a lot of tiles. Excuse me. Because I am ahead, so this expedites the end of the game. 27 points. Great, I draw an eye and a blank. So I could be close to a bingo here. If I do have the bingo, the blank is likely to be a U. So Quirister onto ER. Can't see anything. Just looking at the floaters in 4B. Can't see anything. Now, if I played off just QI for whatever score, then my Rackley of IRST blank would be pretty stunning. So, where can I do that? I can do that here, making Gi 16 points. I note that I could burn the blank with Squirt. $60 points. That's probably worth doing. 60 points is a lot. I think I would need to play off the Q for about 30 to justify not doing that, and there's just nowhere for the Q. So Squirt for 60. Pretty good. I have Jive. Jived onto an R. I would have Jivia. Now I have a 200 point lead, which is pretty good. Can't see anywhere for my J plays. Although the board looks quite wide open, it's not really. In terms of bingo lanes, you've really got row N and column 14 with an S hook on foil, and probably the floating G and I of Gimpy, which is not as open as the board might look at first sight. I've got Voiced through the C, not much score. I've got Jibed through the I for not much score. I note that I did have Fakir through FA last go. 18 points. Well, not worth sacrificing 42 points just to hang on to the blank and the S. 30 to 35 points, probably. So at the moment I've seen nowhere for my J, and I was hoping my opponent might provide something. He hasn't. So how do I sort this rack out? I've got a good lead, 160 points. There's only 19 tiles left, so I'm in good shape. But I still want to play the best I can. Now I have Jedi on my rack. But again, that... so I could play Jedi up here. Well, but then I'm keeping two eyes. I don't want to do that. What I've just seen is this R of 4B, which was hiding away. So, this has made the decision quite easy. Whoops. There we go. 32 points. And a pretty dismal pickup, having been starved of vowels earlier on in the game. I'm now suddenly swamped with them and no scoring tiles. Nice bingo by my opponent, but I think it's too little too late. Only 7 tiles in the bag. They include the blank, but they're not really particularly bingo-y. And even if my opponent does bingo, he's still going to lose. Now, what can I do? I'm looking for score. I'm looking for playing tiles. And I'm looking around slanted because there's a triple word square up for grabs. So I could play Geode, but there's still 2 U's out there. It would be nice to play off a U. Is there a way of doing that? I've got 10 minutes on my clock. 24 points for Geode keeping EOU, which is pretty dismal. Just wondering if I have anything in column 9 making OXO. Can't see anything. So what would burn the U? If I can't burn it now, I'm going to be in even more trouble later if I draw another. I'm looking at playing through the C, so I've got douse, but for almost nothing, and putting a vowel next to this double letter square, that isn't good. What about playing along the top? Well, part of the problem for that is that my rack is so poor. However, I have just seen Judo for 18 points. So I've also got Duo on my rack. And I am anxious to burn the U. I think I'm asking for trouble if I keep it. Remaining vowels, 6 out of 13, so pretty much half the bag is vowels. I think I will go with this. I do pick up one of the U's and a W. 4 tiles in the bag. My opponent could have another bingo now. There's the R of racks available. The blank really is a wild card at this point. It could certainly give my opponent a bingo. But there's no 9-timer available. He's 150 points behind. All he can do is reduce the losing margin. Now, what can I do here? So he's left 1 tile in the bag. The remaining tiles very bingo-y. So I'm thinking about killing off this R spot, because I think the only bingo lanes is row A or column 14, but then he would have to use his blank as an S in the middle of a word. It's possible, but it's more likely he has a bingo beginning with R. Other bingo lanes are quite fancy, such as ending in B or going through I, G and VI. So certainly R is the big danger. And I can take care of that with, for example, ego. Or I could have a play, or I could play woe. So let me look at woe. That's 27 points. I think I will go with this. Now I can see what my opponent's got. Quite a nice rack. Can't see anything with an S. Can't see anything ending with a B. So I don't think he can bingo, although if he can, he will win. He may have something through I, something G. Especially with an N in the middle. But then if he places the N in the middle, he doesn't have the un beginning, or the under beginning. So he does actually have underling with these letters, but it doesn't fit. Anyway, back to my rack, which is more important. What can I do here? I don't have anything for going after Dodd. What about running across the top of foil? Well, my G can go in front of it. So I could play GEE. I don't think I can go out with this rack. I don't have anything ending in B. So it's going to be a bit of a messy end to the game. I may struggle to even go out in 2. Although I'm sure this is just the sort of position where a computer would readily find an out in 2. And I think the problem is the U. Although I do have GUE on my rack. 8 minutes on my clock. The Sea of Hatch is pretty unhelpful. It prevents parallel plays. Woe is quite nice. It hasn't provided anything for my opponent. Now I have Huger on my rack, EUGE. I just mentioned that as a way of getting rid of 4 tiles rather than 3, although I can't see anywhere for it on the board at the moment. I don't think foil takes an E, I think it only takes an S. Just looking underneath slanted, I can play EU, but then the run stops. Although I think mutt takes an I. I could play Q in that spot. 17 points, that would leave IE. And that's what I was saying earlier, I may struggle to go out in 2, IE not good. I note that my I can go in front of I mid. So, what else is available? I could play Gu through the J for not much score. And I'm just looking around for any moves which might allow an out in 2. Certainly if I could play off 4 of my tiles, I'd be pretty guaranteed an out in 2. Okay, it looks like a bingo, but it isn't. It's just 20 points. And my opponent's just got a U on his rack, so there's no point in me looking for an out in 2. I think I only get 1 go here. Nothing goes in front of Lingard. And I'm mainly looking at Lingard because I've spent so long looking at the rest of the board pretty forlornly. So what about playing Gear for 18 points? Q for 17. Yeah, I think I'll play Q for 17. Now, I didn't check, but yes, my opponent does have at least 2 spots for the U. He can play UR or he can play UT or UH. I should have checked in case he had only 1 spot, which I could then have blocked. So, just waiting for my opponent to find his best spot. He could play Mu and That might be best. 6 points. U mid not good. Okay. Pass to end the game. And the final score, 320 to my opponent, 465 to me. A winning margin of 145 points, so a huge, huge win. Let's see what I missed. It was me to go first. I didn't have a bingo. I played pen, and I still like that. My opponent plays Viney, and now I played EAU, and I think that looks fine. My opponent has all the vowels. He plays Rove. And now great, Anlas's was good, and so is Roven. So delighted to have spotted that. That looks pretty good for my opponent, but no bingo. And now I have a very heavy rack. Kazi L1, very nice. I played Boise for 8 fewer points. Probably a slightly better rack leave, but maybe not 8 points better. Although I think the B is... well, I was going to say less dangerous than the K, but maybe not so. Now my opponent plays Aura. I still have a ton of heavy tiles, and I think Gimp looks fine. This is where my opponent phonies. He doesn't have a bingo. And I get to play Hatch at J10. Now, what does my opponent do here? Well, he still doesn't have a bingo. He plays foil. And I have Keg for 52, which looks best. That looks quite nice. Tartanay and Tantara. Neither plays. And now I still have a whole bunch of heavy tiles and the Q. I play 4B at B7 for 27. I could have burnt the S. Well, for 17 more points, maybe that would have been worth doing. Where is that B14? Brosy. Yeah. Probably quite close between those two. Because the F and the Q lacks synergy, and the S gives me at least 8 points, so the gap is nothing like as big as 14 points. Anyway, I played 4B. My opponent played racks. I had this rack, and I still think squirt is best for 60. I think that's way too much of a sacrifice to retain the blank and the S. My opponent has a bunch of bingos. He doesn't see any of them. He plays knee for 17. And now I have Jivia for 32, which took me an age to spot. My opponent does now see a bingo. He plays slanted. And I have a tricky rack. Ooh, wow. I was thinking about geode in column 15. I didn't see it in row O. And 44 points, definitely worth doing, even though I'm retaining a U with 2 to come. So what did I do instead? I played Udo for 18, so yeah, not as good. My opponent doesn't have a bingo. He plays mid. I have a horrible rack. What did I do? I played woe, I think, yeah. Yes, mainly for strategic reasons, killing the bingo lane. My opponent does have a bingo. He has Nurzled and foils. I didn't spot that, and more importantly, he didn't. He plays lingered and H1 gear. Yeah, 011 Gu, not much between those. And finally, mu for 6 would have been best for my opponent. So quite a high scoring game and a big winning margin. So I hope you enjoyed watching that, and I will see you next time.